I just had this wonderful conversation with a girl in my uni, and while I was talking to her, I noticed that my communication skill have improved a lot, like significantly from 1 month ago. And I want to share with you guys the way that I improved my communication skills in 30 days. And so I met this girl, right? She was in my class, and the first thing I do when I saw her is that I asked for her name. And then she just, she introduced herself, I introduced myself, and then we just end up having a really wonderful conversation together in class. And when things start to getting more familiar and more smoothly, we head out of the class after the class end, and we got lost. We couldn't find a way home, and I was making jokes, and she was laughing and giggling a lot. And you know I noticed that this time it was way smoother in my communication. I wasn't abrupt, and I have not, stopped mid conversation to think of words, and I kind of just go with the flow, and it's getting, I didn't expect it to be, this good. Like, I had no thoughts and no feelings in my body, and we ended up just, enjoying ourselves and having a great time. And so the first thing that I did to improve my communication skill is to just talk to people. That is really simple, and this might sound crazy at first, but if you want to get better at something and you're afraid of it, just do it. Do the thing that you're afraid. And maybe some of you here are just kind of staying at home a lot, and you don't go out way too often. And today I was in the same situation. I had this one class that I honestly hate because I had no friend in that class that I know, and going there, I just think that it would not do anything. And I was on the fence of going or not going, and finally I ended up going because I know that if I'm keep afraid to go to that class because I afraid to interact with people, I would not get better by any means. And so I went to the class, and voila, I got a great conversation, and I met lots of new people in that class by just opening up myself. Just take chance and talk to people. If you take chance, you'll never miss. You don't miss if you shoot, and if you don't shoot, you always miss. That's all. That's how I wrap it up. And the second thing that kind of improved my communication skill a bit is to recording yourself every day. And I'm doing this because I don't want anything else but just to see myself grow every day. I treat this as a diary and also a way to improve my speaking. And I noticed that whenever I got onto a camera at first, I was really nervous, and I was scared that people would judge me, people would judge my appearance, they would judge my way of talking, they would judge the accent or something. But no, you guys were amazing. You guys support me a lot, and even though I might not seen your comments or like your comments, I do see the majority of them. And I gotta say that every time I look at your comments, it's always filled my heart with joy, and I'm grateful for that, like, actually. And yeah, let's get back to the thing. Yeah, if you just it's basically the same principle as the first thing I do, because if you just keep talking to the camera, you will improve because you are speaking. And if you want to improve at speaking, or in other words, communication skills, that's you just do it. You just did it. Like, if you decided to just spend like 1 minute or even 2 minutes to just sit down and turn on your camera and just talk whatever you want, and you can express yourself and you feel better, and you just ending up building yourself up slowly and slowly by the days, and eventually you will have a way better speaking skills or communication skills, I mean. And I noticed that the third thing that kind of improve my speaking a bit is to quit social media and video games. And I saying this a lot just not because I wanna, you know, bragging or something, but I've been heavily addicted to video games and social media, especially YouTube. I stopped using the other, like Instagram or Facebook, but I still watch YouTube every day, and I've watched it way too much than I wanted. So I cut everything off, and the first thing that comes to my mind that there was way more clarity than in what I say, because I can now focusing on my word better compared to when I was addicted to social media. And I always have this cloud of thoughts in my head, like you cannot focus on your speaking, rather you focus on that funny dog videos or that cat meow, 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 to the owner, and you found it funny and you keep thinking about it, and it's it's in your brain is just cannot handle all of it at once. So getting some boredom is essential. And you can read books when you quit social media, you can enjoy it more, and you can enjoy all the other activities normally, like before the internet. And I think that it's not really, it's like it does help, but it's not directly, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's my three I wouldn't say simple, but that's my three methods to improve my social skills. And it won't improve it immediately, because at first I was way too impatient, and I was expecting fast result, and when I didn't get it, I kind of disappointed. But I know that you have to try. You actually have to try, and nothing changes if nothing changes. Yeah, I put it that way. And yeah, I hope that if you guys found this useful, I wish you the best in improving your communication skills, because I was once a widow kid that cannot talk normally to people, and now I'm able to talk to foreigners, and like like the person that I'll never think that I can talk with. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And finally, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. See ya.